Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members. Thank you for allowing me to present Assembly Bill 175, which seeks to modernize the Foster Youth Bill of Rights by adding the rights that are inclusive of the youth experience, easily accessible to empowering their decision-making. Foster youth have to overcome many barriers and many burdens, and having a high rate of unemployment and incarceration. These youth have few people to turn to that can help them understand the resources and the rights entitled to them under the foster care system here in this state. In 2016, I authored Assembly Bill 1067, which was signed by the governor that requires the Department of Social Services to convene a work group to make recommendations and update provisions in the Foster Youth Bill of Rights. Unfortunately, the Department of Social Services did not provide a report last year and have received an extension to do so. However, we are confident that the current language reflects the need of our foster youth in California. Assembly Bill 175 will add rights related to cultural competent care, access to computer technology, privacy, and respect towards LGBT status and gender identity. With me.
Thank you, Chair and members. My name is Greg Burt, and I work for the California Family Council, and I'm here on behalf of tens of thousands of Californians, allied organizations, and 2,000 churches across the state to oppose AB 175. This bill sends a direct and blunt message to Christian foster parents, and the message is, we don't want you. The bill gives foster children the right to demand that their foster families violate their sincerely held religious beliefs about gender. As I'm sure you know, Christians believe that gender or sex is entirely based on biology established at the moment of conception. This is something special given to us by our Creator. Forcing foster parents to refer to their foster children as the wrong gender is forcing them to affirm what they believe is a lie. And not only a lie, but harmful to children. And the medical science backs it up. Look at the testimony I gave you from Dr. Andre von Moll, a representative of the American College of Pediatricians and a 9-time foster parent himself. He couldn't be here today, so he asked me to give you his testimony. Look at the first point. Trans identification, or gender dysphoria, has an overwhelming probability of resolving itself on its own if you don't encourage kids to embrace their gender confusion as their new identity. Look at point 2. Underlying psychological and neurological issues need addressing first, and there are many, and foster children are more likely to have them. And then look at point 7 on the second page. Children have developing brains and often change their minds. They don't understand the long-term consequences of taking puberty-blocking drugs and top surgery. This is not settled science, as the author of this bill would like you to believe. I want you to just Google 4 words: social contagion gender dysphoria. Children are falsely assuming they are transgender because of peer influence. And there's plenty of both articles, both conservative and liberal, saying the same thing. Many foster parents are people of faith. They seek to obey God and to follow God by loving and serving others. Parents are heroes. These parents are heroes that you should be respecting and not driving away. This law pushes them into a situation where they are going to have to make a decision they don't want to make. Obey the state or obey God. This Christian teaching is very clear on this point. If they have to obey God if they are forced to decide. Please, please slow down. Read. Talk to Christian foster parents. Think of all the great, selfless, heroic foster parents you are going to lose if you approve this bill. Do you really want to chase them away? Because that is what this bill is going to do. Please vote no on AB 175. Thank you very much.
Madam Chairman and members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Snyder. I'm an attorney with the Pacific Justice Institute Center for Public Policy, where I serve as Chief Counsel. The proposed bill adds to an already long list of mandated rights for youth in foster care. Among those house privileges, the bill allows teens the unfettered discretion to attend religious and cultural services and activities of their choice. So if a young person exercising his new privilege under the bill to use the internet becomes radicalized by white supremacists and says to his foster parent, "I'm not going to the church youth group anymore, I'm now an Odinist, so drop me off at the Nordic temple so I can be with people of like faith and like race." Under this bill, the bill requires the foster parent to listen and obey their teenager. The bill then takes another dangerous turn by weaponizing an adolescent with the force of law to compel unwilling third-party adults to refer to the teenager by whatever name and pronoun the teenager desires. For example, a teenage boy could direct a foster parent to use the pronoun they instead of he. This is a content-based restriction on speech. It is also compelled speech. Just this last year, the U.S. Supreme Court made it clear that the government cannot, quotes, compel individuals to mouth support for views they find objectionable. That was the Janus decision. And then referring to Sacramento lawmakers, Justice Kennedy, in the last opinion that he wrote, said, quote, "Governments must not be allowed to force persons to express a message contrary to their deepest convictions. If your religious convictions, science, or the logic of grammar lead you to believe that a male is a he and one person is not a they, then the government cannot force an individual to say something known to be demonstrably false. It is as Orwellian as forcing someone to say 2 + 2 = 5. Young people do not need a big brother to write a long list of house privileges. They need parents who can parent them through the turbulence of being a teenager. Madam Chairwoman, I thank you for your deliberation on this matter and for your service to the community, and I vote the committee to vote nay.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. And I think we have to be careful about making policy based on testimony that's fear-mongering, that's inaccurate, and that is really meant to drive an emotional response. A lot of the logic just seems to fail. So I think, Mr. Gipson, your policy is absolutely in the right direction. We have to be very careful to make sure that foster kids be respected with what they're going through and not fall into the trap of the ignorance of the circumstance that a lot of transgender and other youth are, the difficulties that they're going through. This notion that they're sort of willy-nilly choosing something and can be talked out of something is just, there's no scientific basis for it, and has caused a great deal of strife and problems historically, not just in foster youth, but in transgender youth. This has happened in communities of color and others. So I think you're absolutely on the right track with this bill, and I'm happy to support you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, I do have some concerns. I think the points that our colleague Ms. Friedman brought up as far as defining some of these points going forward would definitely be beneficial for maybe pulling off some possible objections from some of the language in the future. You know, I do have a concern, and I see both sides of this. You know, I think the biggest problem that we have in my area, and especially in my district, is the lack of access to foster parents. Mm-hmm. And the lack of homes, especially for special needs that need to get into the foster care system because of bad situations. And I would hate to see anything that would prohibit you know, more parents being able to get in. I do want to make sure there is some kind of a mechanism where if there is a child in a foster situation and they do decide their identity is different, or there is a situation where the foster parent no longer feels comfortable, there is an out, so you don't have something that escalates into something bad for either the parent or the child, because we don't want to lose good foster parents, regardless of what their religious values are. And we need to make sure that we are ensuring the care, because we just don't have enough fosters. There's not enough, especially for children with IEPs and special needs.
Sure.
So I just, my question for you, Mr. Gipson, I know you work very diligently to ensure that definitions get done and policies are set straight. In your opinion, does this bill help get more foster parents, yes or no?
I think this bill has great potential of, one, increasing parents taking in foster children, also understanding the complexities and the trauma that these foster youth go through just being a foster child, period. Please understand, this bill has been, a committee has been put together, led with adults and foster youth being at the table to have a discussion. Foster Youth Bill of Rights haven't been updated since its first conception, so this is almost 20 or 30 years ago. We thank Senator Liu for, one, her tenaciousness for bringing this before us, that we have a Foster Youth Bill of Rights. But in addition to that, this bill goes a lot further. And I just want to invite the committee to listen to some of the things. Includes the rights to receiving grooming and hygiene products, regardless of gender. It also talks about allowing specific health care, substance abuse disorder information, and also health care counseling being provided. It also deals with the rights to visit and contact siblings. We have a number. I just spoke to a young man just last week who has 9 brothers and sisters, all in the foster system because mom and dad is in the penal system. Reconnected for the very first time, was blocks away from his biological brother, who was a twin, and set up a date to meet them, and was killed 9 days before that meeting took place. So he left with not even having opportunity to even know likes and dislikes of his brother, to see if he even have the same kind of walk or speech just like them, and similarities. And so this bill provides that opportunity. But so I invite the committee to look. This bill has so much positive things in it, as well as youth who were focused, who had input. These are foster youth who had input in terms of creating this foster youth.
Ultimately, the job here is not to do more harm, and to be able to show that emotional support for them and let them know there's somebody out there that actually loves them and will take care of them. And I just want to make sure that your bill will do that moving forward. I will support your bill today, but I do encourage you to tighten up the loose ends on it.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Among good and bad aspects by adding additional rights to the foster children, these are more restrictions to me for the foster parents to follow. So as you heard, I am concerned whether potential future foster parents will be afraid to accommodate all these new rights. And my office received several phone calls from my district, and none of them were in support of that. And I am concerned. For example, I don't want to go through individual all of the items. For example, one of them is mentioning of age-appropriate allowances. Is that the dollar determined? What's age-appropriate allowance? Secondly, is that if a dollar terms will be defined, is it government paid, or the foster parent will be forced out of a given budget or out of their own pocket?
So that's already codified already in terms of what's allowed for in terms of allowance, and it's worked out with the foster parent itself. But also you made mention in terms of the foster parents. We're looking for loving homes, individuals who will love these children, and take them in and provide guidance, provide a nurturing house for them of love, filled with involvement into their lives. This bill, once again, Assembly Member, is youth-focused, youth and adults together, collaborated to put these and update the Foster Youth Bill of Rights. These are young people who have faced traumatic experiences. They want the same thing. Let me say this. They want the same thing. If you have children that you've given your children, they want a warm bed to sleep in instead of, having their entire life disrupted by being moved from one place to the next. They want stability. And this bill provides not only stability, but it invites people who will have access with the foster youth to collaborate. That's the foster parents, that's the social workers, that's the child itself, that's the community, that's the school. And so it provides all those mechanisms that's in the Foster Youth Bill of Rights. And so we see this as a strengthening the family. We see this as a youth knowing their rights and the foster parents knowing their rights and also respecting those rights as well. Because we're still talking about, this is United States of America, and this is still a place where even as a child have rights as well.
It sounds really lovely, and for the loving family, and this will strengthen that. I hope your goal will be achieved if it passes. However, to me, is if there's a loving family, family should be given more authority how to guide their children in the right way, rather than, for example, one of the lines somewhere I thought I read, you can even choose your name, last name, or whatever. Is that in my family, do I allow my child that, hey, I want to be, I want to change my last name to something else. So will I allow that? Not the loving, whichever name comes with it. With him, I don't think a parent will try to, unless they adopt the children, would not change their last names. So I don't know, as a parent, unstable, emotional, full of emotional trauma, typically they may bring in, and the teenage period, all the good criteria for them to be guided properly for young people who don't have much experience. So here, this seems to be you're emphasizing individual in the United States, individual rights. So that, to me, is separating the family unit, rather than allowing parents to do their best as a traditional family. Hey, since you're a foster child, we have these rights, so make sure that you can do whatever you want to do. That's the impression I'm getting.
Mr. Gipson, I do thank you for bringing this bill forward. I think that we have to remember the title of it. It's the Foster Youth Bill of Rights. Mm-hmm. It is their Bill of Rights. It's an extension of what was already provided to them. And as has been noted by our colleagues, it's already a traumatic experience going in. We want to be sure that they know that they do have rights. We still have, as we know, the prudent parent standard. Right. So the parents are still the parents, and they're still going to work with the child that they're loving as their foster child, as their child. I'm so happy that you had one foster family throughout your time, but we know that that's not the way it is for many of our foster youth. Some comments were made about the right to attend religious services. That already exists. The only thing that was changed, as I understand, Mr. Gipson, is to be able to attend cultural services as well. So this is really important. I do appreciate the comments from our colleagues and would now ask that we take. Would you like to close?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, as well as all the dialogue that has transpired. I certainly appreciate the conversation that has taken place. I just want to just say simply that these children are human. They have feelings. These are individuals who have been traumatized in many, many ways. And I am a firm believer of Mark 12:31, love thy neighbors as thyself. And that's what we're saying right now. The child that you say you would bring into your home, love them just like that child was your own biological child. Give them the same kind of love and respect that you would give your own biological child. That's what they want. Yes, we will provide the guidance as parents to these children. We'll still do that. But also making sure that you love them regardless of the hiccups or whatever that they go through in life under your care. My children, as much as I love them, they have fallen down and made mistakes. But guess what? I discipline them. I love them unconditionally. And I believe that my father loves me unconditionally as well. And you can take that both ways. I respectfully ask when I vote.
We have a motion from Dr. Rambola, second Dr. Stone. Let's take roll, please.
The motion is due pass to the Assembly Judiciary Committee. Reyes?
Aye.
Reyes, aye. Mathis?
Aye.
Mathis, aye. Arambula? Aye. Arambula, aye. Choi? No. Choi, no. Friedman? Aye. Friedman, aye. Gipson?
Aye.
Gipson, aye. Mainshine? Aye. Mainshine, aye. Stone? Aye. Stone, aye.
Thank you.